Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel.
You can't see, so it's kind of hard to find.
I'm Dateline, and today we are doing a true crime and makeup video. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Skylar Neese was born February 10th, 1996 in West Virginia. She was the daughter of Mary and Dave Neese. They lived in a suburb called Star City, a very small town. They said that Star City literally only has one stoplight. So that can kind of give you an idea of how small this suburb really was. Skylar's friends and family describe her as bubbly, charismatic. She was always making new friends, always giggling. Her parents even say that she was very bright as a child. She was reading quicker than the average. She was doing math quicker than the average. They were very proud of her. And the attention, she was like a light shining in the room. She was very bubbly. She was very nice to be around. And everybody adored her. High school begins, and Skylar begins to go to University High to start her freshman year, where she became best friends with Shayla Eddy, a girl that Skylar's family had known for a long time in that neighborhood, and Rachel Shove. They were inseparable. They were calling each other like the Three Musketeers. They were posting all the time. You would never see one without the other two. They were the trio. As Skylar became friends with these girls, their families grew very close to each other. Shayla was actually considered like a daughter to Mary and Dave. That's how well these girls knew each other. That's how close they were, how often they hung out. They were seen as family toward each other. But of course, when it comes to a group of three girls, teenage girls at that, they're gonna run into some trouble. That was inevitable. They would do things like sneak out or stay out past curfew, but that was never any behavior that batted an eye. They're freshmen. They're literally 14 to 16 years old. They're teenagers. They're gonna want to do that. They're gonna want to play, even when it's not time to play. So although sometimes there would be these little hiccups in the road, everybody knew that they were very good girls and they weren't faulted for wanting to have some teenage fun. That's what little girls do, you know? Skylar was on top of the world. She was a pretty 16-year-old girl, straight A student, had best friends. She attracted everybody because of how sweet and nice she was. She had a job at Wendy's. She was living a pretty average teenage life, and the main focus was fun, school and fun. She took friendship very seriously. When she wasn't at work or when she wasn't at school, she was playing. She was playing and she was hanging out. July 5th of 2012, Skylar had came home from her job at Wendy's. It was getting late and she was getting ready for bed. She said goodnight to her mother and father. She told them that she loved them, and she went off to her room. There was nothing out of the ordinary in this night. It was like a regular routine. Get home from work, chill out, go to bed, talk to you later. The next day, Dave had came home during his lunch hour, and he went to go check up on his daughter, and he was surprised when he found that she was not in her room. So he called Mary and was like, hey, where's Skylar? You know, she's not in the room. And her mother, Mary, of course, was like, she probably went to hang out. It's summertime. She probably went shopping. She probably went to the pool. Like, nothing to be alarmed about. You know, you just missed her on your lunch period. It's A-okay. But Dave wasn't so convinced. He decided to, you know, walk out on the patio where he found a stool. And the stool was propped up right against Skylar's window, and the window screen was gone. When he saw that, he was like, all right, my daughter snuck out. He called Skylar 10 times, and he was saying, get home. You're in trouble. You snuck out last night. That was unacceptable. Come home. You're busted. Okay? You've been caught. After all these calls have been null or void, the worry sets in. Why is she not responding? Mary thought she's in trouble, and she knows she's in trouble. She's scared. So don't even worry about it. She's gonna go to work and she's gonna come home. She has work at 4. I'll call them 4:15, give her time to clock in to confirm that she's there and that she's just running because she knows she's in trouble for sneaking out last night. She's just being a little sneaky, being a little hesitant, but she knows she has to come home. There's no getting away from coming home. But unfortunately, Skylar's parents didn't get the chance to call Wendy's. Wendy's called them and asked if Skylar was going to come to work today. That's when Skylar's parents began to be like, maybe this is more than a little bit of a sneak out. So they call everybody, all of her friends. They call Rachel, they call Sheila. Have you seen Skylar? Nobody has seen Skylar. And things are getting a little bit frantic, but ultimately everybody's in good spirits. Mary genuinely believed Skylar snuck out last night. She's caught. She's scared. She will come home later. And all of that calmness, the reassurance of she's coming home later, soonly disappeared when Sheila called Mary. Sheila called Mary very scared and upset. She's realizing Skylar hasn't come home, and she said, I have to confess something. So of course Mary's like, what's going on? What do you have to confess? Sheila admits that Skylar, Rachel, and Sheila had snuck out that night, and they went joyriding, and they smoked some pot, and then they dropped her off down the street at 12 a.m. because Skylar didn't want them to come close to the house because her parents would see her sneaking back in. This is when things start to get serious. If Skylar was dropped off down the street and she's not home now, somebody must have abducted Skylar. That's immediately the thoughts that Mary had. Mary believed that Skylar must have been abducted down the street from their own home. Dave calls the police, frantic. His 16-year-old daughter is missing. She snuck out. She was close to her home by said time, but she has not returned, and nobody has seen her. Panic mode is set in, and it's set in fast. Investigation begins, and investigators pull the security system from the home, the apartments that Skylar lived in. And in that footage, they see a car pull up near Skylar's home at 12:30 a.m. And Skylar walks slowly to it and jumps into the car. The video is so grainy that they cannot make out a license plate, but they can see Skylar did leave at 12:30 and got into the back seat of a car. Now, Sheila had told everybody that 12 a.m. is when she dropped Skylar off. So the mother believed Sheila hung out with Skylar and Rachel. They dropped Skylar off, and Skylar snuck out again with somebody else. After the police have seen that she got in a car willingly by herself, they did not issue out an Amber Alert. She was a willing participant in her disappearance, is basically what they were saying. They felt no need to put out an Amber Alert. They said who was going to look for somebody in a car. And that's the thing that I hate. I understand there are runaway cases, but when there's a child missing, when there's someone missing, period, it should be prioritized. If you see them get in a car, so what? Why haven't they got back from being in the car? I feel like that's no excuse to not put an Amber Alert, especially when everybody's calling this person and there are no answers. Something needs to be issued out. And if it's a false alarm, it's a false alarm, but at least she was being looked for. My thing is, the police do this so much. If they even find out that your child has ran away once, they throw the case. They're not going to put an Amber Alert out. They're not going to look. They put her as a runaway. And I feel like that is completely unfair. That is something that I hate. A weekend goes by of Skylar not being recovered, and the community is watching Sheila break down. She is frequenting Skylar's home, talking to Dave and Mary and just crying with them, scared. This is her best friend. They've known each other for years, but they've gone close to each other in high school. Her best friend is gone, and she felt an immense amount of guilt. They snuck out last night, and she felt like she should have dropped Skylar in front of her home instead of letting her go down the street. Teens, we don't think about stuff like this. When we're going and when we're sneaking out, we're thinking about having fun. We're never thinking that the person we're sneaking out with is going to abduct us. We're never thinking that we are not going to return home. The most we're thinking about is getting our butts whooped if our parents find us. So this was just very intense for Shayla. She felt a lot of guilt. She was scared. Her friend is missing in this small town. It's not something normal. It's not something anybody wants to go through. The community did a candlelight vigil and memorial just out of respect for Skylar being missing. Dave went on a few news outlets to try and spread awareness that he wants his daughter home and that she is missing. And if anybody knew anything, to say something. Stand up. Speak up. This is serious, It is serious. Oh, I can't even imagine how that family felt. I cannot even try to begin to imagine. Although the police weren't immediately putting the case as an abduction or high priority, that changed, especially when they realized that activity on Skylar's card was not being used. There was no activity at all. When someone runs away, they're usually using a card, they pull money out, they take things that they need. Skylar's room was untouched, and Skylar actually wore contacts and glasses. That was not taken at all. They began to realize this is something more. Skylar did not run away. School starts back up. High school, there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of gossip, there's a lot of rumors. A disappearance ignited the flame, and everybody had a rumor about what happened. People began to think that Skylar was at a party and that she overdosed, and everybody got scared and hid the body. People also began to think that Skylar just went out with some friends or was out with some boys, and she was just running, hanging out with the boys, having a good time, But everyone understood or believed that whatever was going on, Shayla and Rachel knew. They were her best friends, and they were the last people to see her. Whatever's happening, they know about it. People began to press the pair. It also started to be a bullying situation. Constantly, Shayla and Rachel were attacked and ridiculed and talked about over the fact that they may know where she is and that there may have been some foul play or that they are withholding information. So the school literally turned on Shayla and Rachel the second their best friend Skylar had gone missing. And igniting that flame was the FBI. Frequently they would come to the schools and interview Shayla and Rachel. Skylar's parents did not like this, especially when it came to Shayla. They knew Shayla for years. Dave begged the FBI to literally leave Shayla alone. He said, "We knew this girl ever since she was a kid. She's going through such heartbreak. Her best friend is missing. You guys are harassing her. Stop bothering these girls." But the investigators were not, they didn't care. They say the people closest to you are the ones that kill you. They was not listening to Dave coming up talking about, "Oh, I knew this girl for such and such years." Who cares? People be knowing their wives for 30 years and kill them. Let them. They said, "We got to do our job." Okay? The FBI began interviewing Dave, one of the friends who tried to push Rachel to tell what was going on, if she knew anything. And they asked, "Is Rachel being weird? Is Shayla being weird? What's going on?" And nobody mentioned them being weird, but they mentioned that Rachel and Shayla have just been more secluded to themselves. They've still friends, but they're not interacting much with other people but themselves. Probably due to bullying. Honestly, if you ask me, rumors fly. A lot of people believed that Rachel and Sheila knew something that they weren't telling. So, wasn't nobody trying to play with her? Could you imagine the reputation of you're being buddy-buddy with someone who did something wrong or didn't do something wrong and is hiding their friend because their friend wants to play, but their parents are losing their mind and the community sees that? Nobody's going to really take up to that. Nobody really likes that. Nobody wants to be involved with that type of stuff. Despite some of the supporters Sheila and Rachel had, Mary and Dave being some of them, the FBI and the police were not letting up. They began pulling physical evidence, and they saw surveillance cameras of the car going west instead of east, like Sheila and Rachel have been saying in their videos. They also realized that Skylar's phone had pinged in a nearby town in Blacksville around the time that Skylar was allegedly dropped off home. This is when Skylar's mom started pressing them for the truth too, but through subliminals. She started posting subs on Facebook basically saying, karma's real, karma's gonna get you. If you know something, speak up. But no matter what, no matter how many interviews, Sheila and Rachel's stories stayed the same. We picked up Skylar, we smoked, we talked, we dropped her off at 12. The police began to feel that it was all so rehearsed. The story never changed, no details were added. They were being compared to a broken record player. It was the same. They kept their story straight. Months after the disappearance, Rachel Show finally admits to investigators that the three of them did drive to Blacksville. But other than that, their story remained the same. We drove to Blacksville, the new detail. We smoked, we dropped Skylar back off. Immediately after this detail was added, that was Sheila's story as well. Everyone soon did notice that Rachel was getting a little bit more frantic and distressed in school. She was a little bit more erratic, a little bit more worrisome. It was like something was sitting very heavy on her heart. And some read that as dealing with the loss of your friend, while others saw that as maybe she was gonna crack. 6 months after Skylar's disappearance, Christmas rolls around. The Neeses did not celebrate. Sheila Eddy and Rachel Show dropped out of school. They couldn't handle it anymore. The bullying and the rumors, the police, the FBI coming up every other day, they dropped out. The intensity of Skylar's case really got to Rachel after the holiday season. On December 28th, 2012, police get a disturbing phone call from the home of Rachel Shove. In the background, she is screaming, hollering, acting completely insane and belligerent. Her mother is saying on the phone call, "I need help with my 16-year-old daughter. I can't control her anymore. This is over. This is over." Rachel has this big freak out and is sent to a mental hospital where she gets her attorney and asks the investigators to come and talk to her. Investigators come to her aid and they again question her, asking her questions that they believe she will answer. What happened? Was there a party? Did she overdose? Did anybody get scared? What happened? The investigators remember Rachel pulling a wastebasket next to her because she was so nauseated and felt like throwing up. And then she finally said, "We stabbed her." This 6-month case was ending in a confession. Not only did Skylar's best friends stab her to death, but they planned it for months. Rachel explains that Months ahead of time, they decided that they were going to kill Skylar. And they picked her up July 5th, 2012. Sheila provided the kitchen knives, and Rachel provided the shovel from her father's home, cleaning supplies, and new clothes. They picked up Skylar and they drove an hour out all the way to Blacksville, down dirty, winding roads. They smoked. They sat out in the woods, and once Skylar decided that she wanted to get up and head back to the car, they counted to 3 and began stabbing her. Rachel said that Skylar fought hard for her life, but she could not defend herself against 2 girls. And they said that she kept asking, as she was being stabbed, she kept saying, why? And I'm wondering the same thing. The police were asking, why did they do this? Why did you kill your best friend? Rachel only gave the answer of, we didn't like her. We just didn't like her. Investigators take this confession and they use Rachel to get Sheila to be caught in a lie or to confess herself. In the midst of the trial, they figured out that Rachel and Sheila killed Skylar because Skylar knew that Rachel and Sheila were having a lesbian relationship, and they were having a falling out, and they were having issues about this or surrounding this. And they believed that if they stopped being friends with Skylar, that Skylar would tell their business. And they were scared of the backlash of being a lesbian couple. So they took Skylar's life. They stabbed her, lured her out, and then they covered her with dirt and branches as she lay there for 6 whole months. Rachel pled guilty to this, and she wrote a letter apologizing to the family during trial. May 1st, 2013, she was sentenced to 30 years life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 10 years. Sheila, on the other hand, because she was still lying, Sheila did not get a set time of when she would be released, as in Rachel got 30 years. Sheila was instead sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 15 years. They were sentenced in 2013. And as we look, it is 2024, okay? 2023 just got out of here. And Rachel Shove had a parole hearing where she got up on the stand and said how sorry she was, and that after Skylar found out about Rachel and Sheila's lesbian relationship, the group fell apart, things got hostile, and Sheila and Rachel just wanted it all to end. And this was the only option their teenage mind could think of, to let it all end. Need be said, she was denied parole. Rachel also got married in prison to a woman named Amy Collin. Sheila, I don't know what that woman's doing. We will never know. This case was insane. I think it is so insane how you can kill somebody so close to you and then cry in front of their family. Some humans are just crazy. And what I really don't understand is their reasoning behind this. There's never a good reason to kill somebody unless you're defending yourself. Somebody's trying to kill you. You had to kill them to stop them from killing you. That's the only reason that's the only way I think murder is okay. But for them to be scared that she would expose that they had a lesbian relationship, it's really insane that they took it to that extent. Because if I was having a relationship, heterosexual or lesbian, and I thought somebody was gonna tell, if they did tell, I'm lying. If I don't want it out, that's not true. That's a rumor. They could have easily thought of many different avenues. They didn't. What do we learn from this? What can you learn from this? Betrayal is so insane. If you are scared somebody's going to spread your business, don't kill them, because then your business is going to get spread anyways and you're not going to have freedom. Take my advice and lie. Thank you for enjoying this. Thank you for clicking on my video. If you made it through the whole thing, God bless you. God bless you even if you didn't make it through the whole thing. I hope you come back, enjoy the rest of my videos, and if you want to see more content like this, comment some cases below if you're interested. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.